Welcome to another Founder Wisdom Pod. We have Jeff Ernst with us. Today's a customer-led growth pioneer. He's co-founder and CEO at SlapFive. You know it. Former Forrester analyst. He's a thought leader and I believe a CrossFitter, right, Jeff?
That's right. All of those things.
Right.
Yes.
So tell us a bit more about yourself and your background and what's it like to be a Jeff?
Well, in addition to being a CrossFitter, which I do to keep my mental sanity, I also have spent my career doing customer-facing roles, really being the voice of the customer within my companies. And this includes a couple of startups within a company that I did in the late 90s, intrapreneurship, and then have done a series of startups since then. First one being a podcast back before the iPod was even invented. The second one was a company that did social media recruiting, and it helped social media recruiting professionals tap into social media the way that demand professionals were doing at the time. And this was way back in 2008. And then my current startup, SlapFive, I started in 2016 after a few years at Forrester, being an analyst covering B2B customer marketing and customer experience. And so now it's building a platform that helps people do all the things that I was advising them to do, and really trying to create a new category here, which has finally emerged, I would say, in the last year. So I had to be patient, but I knew it would emerge, and now it's here.
And how SlapFive is doing, basically like a customer-led growth. I think, I think I was introduced to it by Nick Mehta and Gainsight in 2017 or something like that. And
Yep.
It seems to make all kind of sense. Is it still very popular as an approach? Is it how you grow a company? How's been your customer base at SlapFive?
Yeah, and so great question, and you're absolutely right. And so our customer base is mid to large SaaS companies, so companies like Workday or Okta or Cloudflare, and so these companies have all recognized that their customers are their best sales and marketing people. So if you think about it, today's buyers always they don't really trust a company's sales premises or marketing messages. They want to hear from the horse's mouth. They want a crystal ball into what it's like to be a customer before they dole out $500,000, $1 million, or multi-million dollars on these big enterprise purchases. And so that's where we come in. We help these companies turn their customers into their best sales and marketing people by running all kinds of programs that give them opportunities to engage in the market and to showcase the success they've had working with the vendor.
Right. So here's the website. That examples of that would be like recording a testimonial, a success story, and they can fill out precisely what products they used and so forth. Rate a team member. That is so let's say that I'm a SaaS. I'm sending that to my own customer, and it's data for me. It's potential sales and marketing material, right?
Right.
So what's the ROI on that? First, what should I pay for the software, and what can I get back out of it?
Well, what you should pay, your company should expect to pay, between like 50 and 100K for the software. But here's the real return on it. It's a drop in the bucket compared to the revenue that it can generate. Because if you think about it, every CEO or VP of sales knows that their best sales opportunities come from referrals. So we help you turbocharge referrals. You're going to get 100 times more customer referrals coming in, which is going to really accelerate your sales pipeline. Everybody also knows that sales deals get stuck, and their sales reps struggle if they hit objections they don't know how to get over or how to create urgency in a deal. So now with SlapFive, you can arm your sales reps with the sales tools in the customer voice that is going to help them knock down those objections and accelerate those stuck deals. And then, of course, go to the end of a sales cycle. Everybody recognizes that there's always a need for customer references. And so we can create these recorded customer references that reduce the need for live one-on-one reference calls. But then there's also always that need to set up a buyer to talk to a customer or two before they're going to sign on the dotted line. And that's really hard to do without a platform that helps you manage that and make sure you're not burning out the same customers over and over again. So it's so easy to just create an ROI business case showing all the revenue that you're going to be able to influence by turning your customers into sales and marketing people.
Got it. And I'm guessing at this price point, your ICP, they're mostly large enterprises, 50 to 100K per year. I mean, it's small budget, yes, for an enterprise, right? So tell me a bit more about your ICP precisely.
Yeah, ICP is mid to large size SaaS vendors is the ICP. And so any companies anywhere from like 500 employees to 500,000 employees is where we operate. So we work with Microsoft, we work with Workday, we work with companies like Okta, we work with Dynatrace. So companies that are mid to large size SaaS vendors. And then within that, we are particularly strong in security software companies, because security, they're always trying, they depend on customer proof to convince people that their security platform is going to keep out the bad guys. And so that's what our biggest niche is within the security software. But we're also really strong in fintech, in HR technology companies, as well as educational technology companies, are just some of the other clusters of types of companies we have.
Right. And do you use your own software with your clients? And how do you actually get new clients? What does your GTM look like?
Yeah, our GTM is, I'd love to say this was my own or something original, but we basically followed the pattern of what Salesforce has done and HubSpot has done, and even Gainsight. What they did is we created a community of practitioners that we serve, because at the time, 7 years ago, there was no community. There was no place for customer marketers or customer advocacy professionals to gather. There were no communities, and there was only one conference for them. And so we stepped in and filled that void, created a community. It's about 4,000 members strong now. We do an annual conference. We do regional events. We've got regional chapters, and we've got a huge amount of engagement. And people love it because they feel like they're lone wolves in their company, and they love that we can almost give them therapy. They find the just so much comfort, and they can identify with people. They can get a lot of useful information. So having created that community, now what happens is customers or potential customers who are engaged in that community, they get to that point when they said, oh, let me learn more about this company, SlapFive, that's organized this community. And so they then set up demo requests, and that's basically where most of our new business comes from. And like I said, HubSpot had done this from day one when they created the inbound community for HubSpot. Gainsight created the Pulse community. And so in a very similar way, that's been our primary go-to-market strategy. We spend really zero on marketing. We spend nothing on marketing other than what it costs to maintain our website. Everything is invested into that community.
And you've been running that company for 10 years now. What have been the downs? Have there been some moments in which you came near death? How did you survive these moments? How did you surpass these challenges?
Yeah, great question. So what would be some of the downtimes? The first scary time happened when COVID hit. And so a little bit in the early days of COVID, companies really froze their budgets. So we're not going to hire anybody. And so our pipeline basically froze in the second quarter of 2020. But then what ended up happening is customer marketers scrambled and realized, hey, if we can't send our professional camera crews all over the world to visit our customers and record them on video, we need a way to do that remotely. And SlapFive luckily already had one of the very first features we built in 2016 was this remote video capture, where you could do a self-service, send a customer a prompt or a set of prompts, and they could answer those questions and record themselves on video, or we could just record an interview online and turn that into content in minutes within SlapFive. And so that quickly went from being a, oh my God, we're running out of cash moment, to we now had a surge of new business of people really embracing that remote video capture capability that we had. So that was being in the right place at the right time with the right product, helped us really get through COVID. And then there was another wave, probably 2 years later, where there was just a whole slew of layoffs where so many people in our market got laid off. But what we did is, rather than panicking at that point, so this the second big threat is, we really doubled down on just building relationships with the people that were getting laid off, and really offering our support and opening up our networks and helping them find a new job, and tapping into our customer base. Anybody that was looking to hire somebody, we were making sure we were matching them. So we really did a lot to support that community that was affected by this massive wave of layoffs. And now, of course, a lot of those people, they got hired, and within a week or two, they're knocking on our door saying, "Hey, we want to talk about bringing you into our new company. We were so appreciative of how you helped me out when I was down on my luck."
And if I want to start, like going more after customer-led growth, sort of, I mean, I'm taking testimonials from my clients. I'm asking feedback pretty much all the time from them. And I think I'm
Mm-hmm.
getting very valuable data. Arguably, this podcast as well is a data source for me, and a testimonial source and so forth. So how can I 10x down on that? Like, where should I actually start with my existing client base and quizzing them and monetizing that?
Yeah, so if you have an existing customer base for, especially for your agency, like, is that, do you do this? Are you speaking to your agency or
Yeah.
your podcast? Okay, yeah. And so for your agency, the next step for you to go from what's probably today ad hoc customer proof and customer advocacy, whereas maybe you've got on a regular basis, you're reaching out and capturing testimonials, or when you've got a need for a particular testimonial or case study, you might reach out to people. That's where a lot of our clients start, or that's what they've been doing when they come to SlapFive. But then what they're realizing is they want to make it more programmatic. And by that, I mean is, instead of just having every time you need some customer proof or a customer to perform an act of advocacy, instead of starting from scratch every time, what you do is you create a program, and you could even create a branded program. So when I was at Forrester, I created a branded program called Forrester Frontlines. And I had about 3,500 of our clients in that program, where they knew it was an advocacy program where they were going to be offered opportunities to engage in acts of advocacy. But the acts of advocacy were a two-way exchange of value. The customers benefited just as much from them as Forrester did. And so they allowed customers to get early access to our research. They could give us feedback on our research portal. They could speak at our events. They could do case studies and testimonials. So we gave them lots of opportunities that really helped them build their reputation and demonstrate their thought leadership and align their reputation with Forrester's reputation. And that's what made it so successful. And so that's really the next step from somebody that's doing more ad hoc, is to actually programatize it. Some of the best companies out there, they give them brands like OutSystems ambassadors, or at SlapFive, we call them SlapFive rock stars. That's our customer program. But it's if you think about it, the analogy I use is like in the HR recruiting space, you're always creating a talent pool around your company. So when you've got new openings, you're not starting from scratch. You can always tap into that talent pool as an immediate source of candidates. Same thing here. You want to have a talent pool of customers that are opted into your program. They've told you what they like to do, what they don't like to do, how frequently. And now you've got this pool of people that you can tap into when these opportunities come up, or when you want to proactively give them a new way that they can showcase their success.
So I guess, should I start with questions for data purposes, and then for testimonials, is it just after they've answered these questions and I know that they're super satisfied, should I just send them like an easy template to refer me other clients? Like, hey, I work with Charles, they can send that in a specific scenario. Let's say that someone mentioned that they need a GTM agency. Would that be the right shape? One, questions sent by email, maybe a form of some kind, although I love not sending a form and just like answer straight up by email, which is better UX for them. And after that is done, making them referring me as an agency as easy as possible. Is that like the logical next steps?
Yeah, that would be one way to really crank up your referral pattern more programmatically. So you could, again, that could be one of the benefits or opportunities that people can opt into. Maybe but you do it by email or you do it with a form or something, but they're now going to opt in saying, yeah, I really like what your agency has done for me, Charles. I want to return the favor and help you grow. And here's the things I like. I like public speaking and I like giving service feedback, but I don't like talking to analysts and I don't like talking to the press. So, so people have different strengths, different things that they like to do, things that they don't like to do. So with SlapFive, we would help you actually build that profile of each member of your program, but you could do this in a spreadsheet too, and track what each person that has opted in likes to do, what they don't like to do. And then when you've got these opportunities, you could do that. And one of them, I'm glad you mentioned referrals, because that's like an evergreen opportunity to perform an active advocacy. So you could have either a referral form where somebody could directly submit the name and email address of their friends who they think could benefit from working with you, or a friendlier, kinder, gentler way of doing that is have that customer record a little video snippet, and you can just send them a prompt. They record it and put it on a little landing page, and then give it to that customer and say, hey, instead of giving us the names directly, and which is like throwing your friends to the wolves, right? Here, just instead share this with all your friends who you think might have an interest, and let them decide whether they want to opt in. So that customer now is going to, they might give you a name or two if you ask them for a direct referral. But if you do this indirect referral method, they're going to share that board with their little video snippet with dozens of people. So you're going to get way more brand exposure. And then hopefully, when at the right time, those people are going to opt in and say, yeah, I want to learn more. I'll sign up for a call with Charles.
Right. And I target very ambitious CEOs, like the visionary type. They're in multiple spaces, have a portfolio of companies already, let's say a net worth of at least 5 million, right?
Yep.
How can I target super referral nodes like that? Because I have a couple of as clients. You unlock them. Not only did they pay you, but they referred you to all their friends. What's the right persona for that type of profile? Because I mean, if I would deal with, like, let's say a common VP of sales, right? They don't know a lot of people. They work at this company and they may not refer me anyone, just not because they don't like me, just because they don't know anyone. So is it right to target a kind of people that can refer you to all their big network?
Yeah.
And who is that kind of people? Have you find like that super referral node as clients, as your ICP?
Yeah, so definitely you want to figure out who the influencers are. And one of the things we do for our clients is we'll say, we'll scrape LinkedIn basically and show them for each member in their program, here's how many followers they have on LinkedIn. So that's sort of a sign of how much influence they have. But if you think about it, a VP of sales has probably worked at 6 or 7 companies in sales, worked their way up. So they're going to know a lot more people than you think. But don't just rely on the VP of sales either, because they might be so busy. They're so worried about beating the sales forecast that they've set for their company. But maybe the next line of sales leaders below that VP, they're out there constantly trying to build their reputation, their networking. Chances are they've adopted social selling, and they've trained their sales reps on social selling, how they can be providing useful information and resources through social media, especially LinkedIn. So they probably have a good amount of LinkedIn connections. So that's also a good person to tap into. Now, they may not be the decision maker, but they've worked for a lot of VPs, and you know how what sales reps are. They pretty much change jobs every year or two. They're off to a new company, so they tend to have worked for a variety of VPs of sales and a variety of companies.
And your own clients, what specific pain points are they facing? Like, how do you approach them in your marketing material in terms of their burning pains and like what they need to fix right now in the organization? Or is your platform a want, not a need?
No, it's definitely a need, but what we do is we actually operate at a more strategic level than just saying, we're going to crank up referrals for you. Yeah, that's one of the things we can do. But generally, where we start is we'll work with the senior leadership, like the CMO and the chief revenue officer, and we will find out from them what their top go-to-market initiatives are as a company, and then what are the biggest challenges they're having pursuing those go-to-market strategies or go-to-market initiatives. And let's say they're trying to compete more aggressively and gain market share against competitor X, and they've replaced a lot of competitor X's customers. We'll help them create a competitive replacement program where they're tapping into the voice of the customer, of those who have made the switch from company X to their company, having them tell their story about what was the breaking point when they realized they had to switch off that other vendor. What was it? Why did they select you as a new vendor? And then what was the migration process like? And then what can they now do better? Right? And so that now supercharges that strategic initiative that the customer has. So that's how they really measure the value that SlapFive can retrieve. If they've got like a particular strategic initiative, how are we accelerating revenue? What percentage of the revenue from that initiative are we influencing? Because we can actually measure right in Salesforce the direct revenue influence on each opportunity that gets touched by customers or influenced by customers, whether it's referral, content, references from peer review sites, whatever that influence event was. So that turns it into a must-have.
Yeah, very clear, the value that you had. Jeff, where can people find out more about you and SlapFive?
Well, I'm on, you can find me on LinkedIn at /Jeff Ernst, and reach out to me there, and love to connect with people. I'm a super connector and love to open up my network to people as well. If they want to learn more about SlapFive, they can either email me, jeff@slapfive.com, or go to slapfive.com, and it's spelled out, SLAPFIVE.com. So yeah, and then if somebody wants a demo, we've got a demo request form right there on the site. We're glad to set up and show you what you can do. But first, we always like to hear what your top growth initiatives are, because there's nothing more valuable than putting your customers to work to help drive your most important growth initiatives forward.
There you go.